Getting lost in the narrow streets of Genoa is like immersing yourself in a living poem. As I walk, the words of Fabrizio De André resonate in my mind. On Via del Campo, there's a pretty girl with large leaf-coloured eyes. These narrow streets, where the sky intertwines with glimpses of palaces, are much more than simple paths. They are the pulsating soul of the city. I think of how many artists, poets, and dreamers have walked on these same stones before me. Mark Twain, enchanted by Genoa, described it as a city of palaces, superb and imposing. And he was right. Every turn reveals a new architectural treasure, a palace that seems to recount centuries of history. In 2006, UNESCO recognized the invaluable worth of these buildings, declaring them a World Heritage Site. But for me, more than an official recognition, these palaces are custodians of stories, dreams, and secrets. With every step, I feel the past and present merging. The stones beneath my feet have seen merchants, nobles, sailors pass by, and today, tourists like me. Yet, there's something eternal in these streets, an energy that transcends time. I stop in front of an ancient doorway, imagining the lives that have unfolded behind those walls over the centuries. Genoa is not just a city to see, it's a city to experience, to feel with all your senses. The smell wafting from a nearby focacceria, the distant sound of bells, the chatter of Genoese mixing with the murmur of tourists, everything contributes to creating a unique, unforgettable atmosphere. Resuming my walk, I feel part of something greater, an infinitesimal chapter in the long history of this extraordinary city. And as I lose myself again in the alleys, I can't help but smile, grateful for this experience that, I'm certain, will forever remain imprinted in my heart. Strada Nuova unfolds before me like Ariadne's thread in the history of Genoa. As I walk, I find myself thinking of the Rolli, those registers that transformed the most sumptuous palaces of the city into a unique hospitality system in the world. Genoa for us, sang Paolo Conte. And truly this city seems to exist in a dimension all its own, where past and present intertwine in an indissoluble embrace. I stop in front of one of these palaces, imagining the scenes of life that have unfolded behind those windows over the past centuries. I can almost hear the rustle of silk gowns, the tinkling of glasses, the whispered conversations in the frescoed halls. What an ingenious solution the Genoese found. A republic without a royal palace that transforms private residences into stages of power and diplomacy. I imagine popes, emperors, and kings crossing these thresholds, welcomed with a splendor that had nothing to envy from the most opulent courts of Europe. I wonder how the owners of these palaces felt. Proud but perhaps also intimidated by the honor and burden of hosting such important figures. Three palaces in particular, I'm told, had the privilege of welcoming the most illustrious guests. I search for them with my gaze, trying to guess which they might be. Each building seems to tell a different story, yet part of the same grand narrative of Genoa's power and wealth. As I approach Palazzo Bianco, its whiteness welcomes me like a blank page, ready to recount centuries of history. Built between 1530 and 1540, this building has seen the most prestigious noble families of Genoa pass through its halls for almost 3 centuries. But it's at the end of the 1800s that the palace undergoes a significant transformation. Maria Brignole Sale de Ferrari, the last duchess to reside there, transforms it into a public gallery, a temple of art accessible to all. Entering, I'm overwhelmed by the richness of the collections. I stop in front of Caravaggio's Ecce Homo, captivated by the power of the scene. Light and shadow dance on the canvas, telling a story of suffering and humanity that deeply touches me. I can't help but think about how thin the line is between the divine and the human in this work. Continuing on, I encounter the Flemish masters. Rubens' Venus and Mars makes me smile, thinking of the eternal game between love and war. Then, Van Dyck's Vertumnus and Pomona reminds me of how seductive deception can be. These artists, who came from afar, have left an indelible mark on Genoa, testifying to the rich and profound cultural exchange between the city and Northern Europe. As I approach Palazzo Rosso, its vivid colour immediately catches my eye. It's like a beacon in the city, a reference point that shines with its intense hue. Entering, I'm enveloped by an atmosphere that exudes art and history. I think of the brothers Rodolfo and Gianfrancesco Brignole Sale, who in 1671 gave life to this treasure trove of beauty. I wonder what their dreams were, their ambitions as they created this architectural masterpiece. I stop in front of Guercino's Dying Cleopatra. The intensity of the scene strikes me deeply. The Egyptian queen, so powerful in life, now lies vulnerable and human. This image makes me reflect on the fragility of life, on the transience of power. Moving on, I encounter Veronese's Judith and Holofernes. The drama of the scene makes me reflect on the complexity of human nature, on the blurred boundaries between courage and cruelty. I find myself contemplating the difficult choices that life sometimes presents us with. As I walk through the rooms, observing the portraits of the Brignol Sale dynasty, I feel like I'm leafing through a living history book. Each painting is a window into a different era. Each brushstroke tells of tastes and fashions that have evolved over time. It's fascinating to see how art can capture not only the appearances of people, but also the spirit of an entire era. I reflect on the gesture of the last Brignol Sale heir, who in 1874 donated the palace to the city. What an act of generosity and foresight. It makes me think about how important it is to preserve and share beauty, how art can be a bridge between generations. And in this moment, I feel I have found tangible proof of the greatness of art and human generosity, here, between the red walls of this magnificent palace. I carry with me not only the images of the works of art, but also a deep reflection on history, art, and the meaning of cultural legacy. Genoa, through palaces like this, continues to speak to us, to teach us, to move us, demonstrating that beauty can truly be eternal. As I approach Palazzo del Principe, its imposing mass leaves me breathless. It stands out on the Gulf of Genoa like a stone giant, defying the traditional modesty of the Republic. I think of Andrea Doria, the bold admiral who dared to challenge conventions, creating this residence that seems more like a declaration of power carved in stone than a palace. Entering, I'm overwhelmed by the sensation of walking through history. Every room, every corridor seems to whisper secrets of past eras. I imagine Andrea Doria walking through these rooms, planning the future of Genoa with Emperor Charles V. What conversations must they have had? What decisions taken in these rooms might have changed the course of history? The decorations by Perrin del Vaga leave me open-mouthed. The vault of the staircase is a triumph of art and illusion, where antiquity seems to come to life before my eyes. In the Loggia of Heroes, I linger for a long time, contemplating Andrea Doria's ancestors represented as ancient warriors. I feel the weight of history, the desire to leave an indelible mark in time. Stepping out into the garden, the dolphin fountain catches my attention. It's a surviving fragment of an era of splendor, a tangible reminder of the sumptuous parties that must have taken place here. As I watch the flowing water, I think about how ephemeral human glory is, yet how enduring the art that celebrates it can be. Here, in this palace born of ambition and power, a beauty has blossomed that still leaves us breathless today. This building is not just a monument to one man's power, but a testament to the human capacity to create beauty and leave a lasting mark on the world. It's a bridge between past and present, a tangible reminder of an era when Genoa was at the center of the world. As I approach Palazzo Reale, its majestic facade leaves me breathless. Built in 1618 at the behest of Stefano Balbi, this building is a silent witness to centuries of Genoese history. I pause for a moment, trying to absorb the energy of this extraordinary place. Crossing the threshold, I'm overwhelmed by a wave of splendor and magnificence. Every room seems to tell stories of power, intrigue, and beauty. I imagine the Durazzo family, who between 1677 and 1679 transformed this palace into a masterpiece of art and architecture. I can almost hear the echo of their footsteps as they supervise the creation of the Hall of Mirrors, inspired by the famous Galerie des Glaces at Versailles. I lose myself in the infinite reflections of the mirrors, reflecting on how many secret conversations, how many lavish balls, how many crucial decisions must have been made in these spaces. The light bouncing off the shiny surfaces creates an almost dreamlike atmosphere, as if time had crystallized in an eternal moment of glory. Continuing, I enter the throne room and the audience chamber, added by the Savoy family in the 19th century. Here, history comes to life before my eyes. I imagine sovereigns moving with regal composure in these spaces, emanating power with every step. In the grand ballroom, I'm enchanted by the sparkling chandeliers and elaborate frescoes. I can almost hear the echo of the music and laughter from the parties that have animated these halls over the centuries. As I contemplate all this splendor, the words of Eugenio Montale resound in my mind. What we are not, what we do not want. I think about how profound this reflection is, even here. This palace represents what Genoa has been, what it wanted to be, but also what it has overcome and transformed over time. This building is not just a museum, but a living history book, a bridge between past and present. The decision to open it to the public in 1920 now appears to me as an invaluable gift, allowing all of us to immerse ourselves in this extraordinary testimony to the greatness of Genoa. I carry with me a sense of wonder and gratitude. Genoa, through palaces like this, continues to surprise me, to teach me, to move me. It's a tangible reminder of an era when the city was at the center of the world, but also a promise of beauty that continues to renew itself in the present. As I walk the ancient streets of Genoa, every step resonates with centuries of history and beauty. The words of Fabrizio De André echo in my mind, and down at the end of the avenue, the sea. This city is truly like that avenue, a path that inevitably leads to the sea of history and art. I often stop, wide-eyed, in front of the treasures that dot these streets. Every palace, every work of art is a portal to a glorious past, a window that opens onto golden centuries and ancient splendors. As Gino Paoli sang, "Taste of salt, taste of the sea. Here you breathe in the flavor of history, salty and intense like the sea air." In these moments, I feel that pathos resurface that accompanies the happiest moments of a journey. The joy of discovering and rediscovering the wonders of Genoa mixes with the deep desire to explore further, to lose myself in other places yet to be unveiled. As Italo Calvino said, "You take delight not in a city's 7 or 70 wonders, but in the answer it gives to your question." And Genoa seems to have answers for every question my heart poses. This experience is not just a journey through space, but also through time. Every corner of Genoa is a bridge between past, present, and future. Yet, here in Genoa, I feel I'm becoming part of something bigger, of a story that continues to unfold. As I conclude my walk, I reflect on how enriching every step, every glance, every discovery has been. Genoa is not just a stop on my journey, but an unforgettable chapter in my personal history. It's a place that will continue to live in my memories, inspiring me to seek new wonders wherever they may be found. The celebration of Genoa and its wonders is not just a tribute to its past, but also an invitation to look ahead, to discover and rediscover the beauty that persists. Genoa is just like that, an eternal circle of beauty and history, always ready to amaze and move those who have the courage to lose themselves in its streets.